Hello and welcome to this week's Hashtag Toe to Toe. I'm Andy Scott, and joining Spencer, Fearon and I this week is David Haye, the Haymaker. Hello, David.
Hello.
Hello. The public have sent in some tweets for you, so I'm going to go.
I'm going to go ahead.
No, don't worry. No, we did. Don't worry. Andy Akerson said, "Do you think Chisora will stay cool and be able to stick with the game plan?" Easier said than done.
The game plan isn't really to be cool. The game plan is to go to war. It's hard to be cool whilst under fire and in the battlefield. You know, some fighters have got that cool style. His style isn't really like, it's just getting involved. It's like Joe Fraser, I wouldn't consider him cool. He was just constantly moving, constantly fidgeting, constantly putting his fighter on the back foot, and it's hard to be cool whilst you're constantly working. I don't think being cool in this fight is what Derek's going to do. I've seen his cool and standing at the end of someone's jab getting hit. That's nothing cool about that. So he's being in the fire. That's right. He understands that this is going to be uncomfortable. All of his training has been uncomfortable. I've made sure that everything he does it. He wants to stop. He's like, no, I'm not doing this, but we have to do it. And credit to him, he's done it because he needs to do it, because this fight's going to be uncomfortable. But we as a team have tried to make the training as uncomfortable as possible, so he becomes comfortable in his own comfort zone, because he's been a comfort fighter in the past in terms of training. In his training, if he's got a bit tired, my arms, I'm stop training. Oh yeah, I'm out of breath, I'm gonna stop running. No, now we want him to be in that state, and he's pushed it, and physically you can see it in his chest, his arms, traps, legs, everything's kind of woken up. Do
you think you can teach an old dog new tricks though?
You can't teach an old dog new tricks. No, I don't think you can. But what you can do is you can get that old dog a lot fitter. You can make sure the food that he's eating is better. You can make sure he gets his sleep. You can make sure that there's no distractions in his life, so that old dog can do the very best that old dog can do. But you're right, I can't turn him into a slick southpaw. No, Derek Chisora is Derek Chisora. The punch variety he still has. I've not taught him. I've not introduced any new punches, any new real combinations. He knows everything. I've just tried to put him in a position where he can throw them for 12 rounds. Because in the past, he's never been able to throw all-out assault on someone for 12 rounds. He'll have a big spurt for 30 seconds. He'll then sit on the ropes for 40 seconds, getting head punched in, recovering, and then coming back.
He's not going to do that.
No, the plan is not to do that. He shouldn't need to do that because he's put the training in. And Dillian had a lot of his success when Derek was having his breather. Why is he having a breather? Because he wasn't in 12-round shape. Now he's in 12-round shape. Theoretically, he shouldn't need a breather. And hopefully the pace that he sets is going to be very uncomfortable for Dillian, and is going to put Dillian in his uncomfort zone. And I know Dillian doesn't like to be in his uncomfort zone. I know Dillian has very long arms. He's blessed with very long arms, and he uses them very well. Keeps guys at the end of his jab. Good guy. I remember sparring him. It's hard work getting past them long arms of him. He's a very, very underrated long-range fighter. But if you get close, he can chop you down with some nice counter hooks. Hit his left, throw a right hook to the body. Ask Joseph Parker. He catches you with a sharp, crisp left hook. You know, look at Lucas Brown. I think he's still asleep now. You know, for me, so Dillian Whyte is one of the best heavyweights on the planet, period. So Derek Chisora, any performance Derek's had up until now, I don't believe is good enough to beat the Dillian Whyte we just saw there, or the Dillian Whyte today. He needs to do something he's never done before, but fortunately he's trained like he's never trained before, so theoretically it's there. I can see the pattern of the fight that he needs to win it. It's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard graft, but training's been like that. So it's just exciting. Whatever happens, it's going to be exciting.
John Brewster, great question. Would this Derek Chisora beat you in 2012? You can't say you would have beaten you.
It'd have been a lot harder for me, put it that way. You know, a lot of the stuff that I've talked to him about was, you know, I studied Derek before I fought him. I knew what his strengths were, I knew what his weaknesses were. So when I sat with him, I said, okay, this is what I did when I fought you, because I saw the X, Y, and Z. So let's tie that up, because Dillian might be looking at those same things. You know, some of the stuff that he did that I won the fight with, I've tried my very best to try and tighten them up. I can't change his style, but I just alerted him to certain aspects that he didn't realise he was doing, and hopefully now he stopped doing that the majority of the time now. So I've just tried to clean it up as best you can, but as you said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's 34 years of age, nearly 35. You know, we just need to get him fight ready, 12-round fight ready. You know, his chin's going to be as good as his chin's going to be. His heart's always there for both fighters. Both fighters, you can't question either fighter's heart. I've never seen two fighters leave any more out there than what I saw 2 years ago, and I expect no less this time.
Well, I'm saying if you looked at David Haye 6.5 years ago, because that's when the fight was, right? That David Haye would still be the Derek Chisora of today, because people seem to forget just how good David Haye was and how fluid his punching power was. He was ridiculous punching power. So I would have said David Haye would say, I don't care what the result happens on Saturday, that they wouldn't have beaten that David. At that time, David only lost to Carl Thompson when he was relatively a novice then, and then lost to Klitschko, and there was no shame in that. So no, I would still say that David Haye would have beaten this new
we'll
improved.
Never know now.
No, we'll know. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Madrista has said, David, does Derek need to win this fight by a knockout to have any chance of fighting AJ next year?
I think a knockout would go a lot better than a draw or a split decision victory. I think he needs to look conclusive. He needs to look like the Derek Chisora he's always wanted to look like, and he's put the work in. Unfortunately for Derek, he's fighting a Dillian Whyte who's new and improved also. You know, I'm talking about how much better Derek has been in training. You know, I haven't seen what Dillian's been doing behind the scenes. He could be doing just as much. He might be doing twice as much. I don't know. But what I know, I can only judge him by his last couple of fights. His last couple of fights have been very impressive, but they've been at a certain pace. They've been at a certain range. They've been in and stayed within Dillian's comfort zone until the 12th round of the Parker fight. It's the only time it came out of his comfort zone, and coincidentally he got knocked down heavily.
You two have both been giving comprehensive answers, so we'll finish on this last one from Ronan. Thanks to everybody else that did send in. Which of the heavyweights do you think will be number one at the end of next year, 2019? You can go first, Spencer.
It depends what Tyson Fury comes back. If I believe that Tyson Fury could be number one, but it all depends on what Dillian Whyte that we see, because I've seen Dillian Whyte. I'm seeing a constant, steady progression with Dillian Whyte. And as David knows, because David was a cruiserweight compared to heavyweight, right? And David knows what it takes to mix with these heavyweight guys. He fought a very greatly experienced John Ruiz. He fought good men. All right, even Ole Harrison, because Ole Harrison was still European champion at the time when he knocked him out. So it depends how Dillian performs on the weekend, but I'm seeing a progression in him, and it depends on the desire of the rest of the guys. But to me, I reckon Tyson Fury could be number one at the tree. But in saying that, we don't know Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, people are overlooking Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has done things relatively in a very fast pace to accomplish the things that he's accomplished, and he's still learning as well. But he's just got to show me, he's got to administer to me that he's actually learning, because I can see a slight regression in his learning, because he's trying to do a little bit too much, but he's also playing safety first after the Klitschko fight.
That's a tough question. I've got. I'll let you know after Saturday night, depending on how Derek looks. So I'd like to be able to chuck Derek's name into that mix. I really would. And if he goes out there and splitzes Dillian Whyte in 6 or 7 rounds, that could be a wild card chucked into the heavyweight world mix. So let's see how the fight goes on Saturday. But outside of, I'd say out of the top 3. Wilder, Fury, and AJ. You know, we've seen how Wilder could beat Fury by clean knockout if he didn't miss so much, and we've seen how Fury can outbox Wilder with the long-range slick style. And after that last fight, he would have sharpened up. You know, those first 2 comeback fights weren't, they weren't real fights. It was just like an exhibition. This was his first real fight where he had to dig in and do some work. So he would be better. Both fighters are going to improve. Anthony Joshua, I think Spencer's right. The people are really gone cold on AJ for some weird reason. He's beat every man he's ever supposed to beat. You know, Alexander Povetkin fight, that was a very good victory. You know, he had a cold before that fight, and he still managed to put on a great performance against a very tricky opponent. The good thing for me and Derek was the things that Alexander Povetkin was having success with are the things that Derek Chisora can do if he wants to do them. So I got a lot of confidence from that fight with Alexander Povetkin in terms of Derek Chisora potentially one day fighting AJ. But that's the fight way down the line. But I'd say AJ at the moment, he doesn't have a draw. He's still undefeated. He has the majority of all the belts. So I'm going to say at the moment he's the front runner. And the other two are joint second.
Before we quickly go, I just want to ask you this. I want to quickly ask you this, seriously, because I'll just quickly ask you this. How would a prime you have done against Andy Joshua?
I'd have done way better than anyone else who's stepped in the ring with him, because nobody else has been able to make him miss and make him pay. I think the only person who had the ability possibly was Povetkin, but when he fought him, Povetkin was past his prime.
Bottom line, I want to know, like, would a peak David Haye have knocked out Andy Joshua? Do you believe that you knocked him out?
I think a peak David Haye would beat pretty much anybody. So I in my mind, when I was in my heyday, I felt invincible. So on my day, I think I'd beat pretty much anybody.
Look at you, just rolling that little hand grenade in there.
Lennox Lewis, though, I don't know about Lennox Lewis.
All right, cool.
Lennox Lewis is just too big and athletic. Because the thing with Lennox Lewis have the athleticism and the natural boxing style and the amateur pedigree, and he had the chin as well.
And that right hand.
Underrated chin. Everyone. He beat every man he ever faced. And he beat a young lion like Vitaly Klitschko, ripped his face to shreds. So he's the only person I've ever looked at and thought, well, I don't know what I'd do there. I'd maybe keep him off for a couple of rounds with my speed, but he was just fast as well. So he's the only person I watched and thought, oh.
Thank you for your honesty, David.
Yeah, we could listen to a little bit more than that. So no, we could. That's very interesting. We'll get you on another time, maybe after the fight to have a feedback. Thank you, David. Thank you, Spencer. And they say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I still can't get my dog to bring the ball back at the park in the morning, and that's a true story.